object and we say new array, so we already know that a new keyword is used before a constructor, but we didn't exactly create one of for ourselves. Okay, so we just use whatever we already have, right, in the language. This gives idea that yes, this is possible to create constructors and deal with those. Now this brings us to a very important concept, like how can we create our own constructor and how can we use that. All right. So this is the thing which we are going to discuss today, and this is very, very important as per interview perspective. So you won't be finding the direct use of this, but yeah, like everything you create, like from classes, yeah, classes will be studying everything you create, and every method we have used till now has these things behind it, and this makes this as very, very important as per your like JavaScript career and for your interviews also. Let me drop a message that we have started, and then we can begin the like topic. Any doubts regarding the previous sessions or something? So you please go on. We can discuss that. Otherwise, we can start with this one. All right, I have asked the guys to join. What else do we have? Okay, let's see where we ended in the last session. I'll be sharing my screen in a minute. So we do not have any doubts regarding the previous sessions also. Okay, anyways, then we can begin. All right. So let me share my screen also. So this is what we have now. If so, we started with the closer part in the previous session, and we were saying that how do we? So what is a closer? How many of you already know this closer thing? That there's something called as closer. How many of you know know this concept of closers or have used it? Okay, here's the point, guys. There's a function I have created. Okay, there's a normal function, which it's an outer function. We already know that JavaScript support nested functions. So nested function support is already there for us. Okay, so that is already present. My point is, I have two of the variables here. Okay, so I have two of the variables over here, and I have an inner function after that. So I already have an inner function after that. Okay, and so this is what we are having. So there's an outer function. A, B is present over here. Then CD is present in an inner function, and I'm finally passing this inner function, like returning from the outer function. Two ways to call this inner function. The first way you see on here over here, like number 33. Either you go with this one. So since outer function easy to call, you can call it because this is in the global scope. But inner function is it in global scope or what? Is it in? It is in. It is in the function scope, right? So it's in the local scope. Now the point is, I cannot directly access it outside. So what I did, I returned it. As soon as I return it, I have the inner function stored with me. Okay, in this inner func variable. Now this inner func variable is whatever we are getting in return, and I can directly call this. The other way would be I just directly say this something like this. So I can say outer function, make a call to this. Now I know that this is returning something. So one more call to this one, and this has been done. So this would fix everything. So either you go with this one or we go with this one. So better the upper one so that we can call that in the future. The thing inner function is doing is printing A, B, C, D. Here comes the question. What would we print it at line number 34? What do you guys think? So what should be, okay, once more. This is the outer function with two local variables A and B. This is the inner functions with C and D. And we are printing this console over here. Now, The point is, at line number 34, what should this console be printing? Okay, just have a look and tell. I'm just incrementing the values, right? So,
4, 9,
okay, 4, 9, and
8, 10.
4, 9, 8, and 10. Okay, makes sense. So we have the C, D, A, B, and everything will be incremented by 1, and this is what we'll be getting. What's on the next line? What should we print it?
Yeah, 4, 9.
4,
No,
9,
no, 5, 5, 5, 10. Sorry.
5, 10.
10,
Okay,
8, 10.
5, 10, 8, 10. Okay.
Yeah.
So the same thing over here or any other thing? Should I copy the same
Same,
thing?
same, same thing.
Okay, so 4, 9, then 8, and then 10 comes over here, and the same thing comes over here. So we have this 5, 10, and 8, 10. Okay, let's do this. Let me call this function. You can see that 4, 9, 8, 10, 5, 8. Okay, so whatever we expected, this is being printed. Now comes the point. At line number 33, I'm calling the outer function. Outer function has two local variables, a and b, and the function is done. If you guys remember, once a function is over, its local variables are thrown out of memory. Is that true?
Yes.
Correct? Makes sense? So A and B were like over here, okay? And this we call the function and they would be deleted. The second question arises, why is this line not giving an error? Because the function call is done and A and B should not be accessible or maybe present over here because it's access in future at line number 34. So if I follow the same logic I have in other languages, that outer function call is done, remove or local variables will be thrown out of the stack. But that is not what is happening over here. Are you guys getting this point? It seems like A and B are stored even after this function is done. Okay, once more. Let me create the stack. This is our function. Okay, so this is our function. Okay, so function func1 and nothing is there. Simply we have a let a is equals to let's say 10 and b is equals to let's say 20. So something like this is there. Okay, so two things. We have this function over here with these two variables, and I just want to do a console. That's it. That's it. So console is there a comma b. A function with the two variables a b, and this is the console I'm having. This is my call stack. I made the call to function one. Okay, so function one call I made, and these two variables are here. Once the call is done, so this is printing 1020 and along with the function, these two variables will be popped out. Is that true? This true, right?
Yes.
Okay. The second question. This is one function. This is a fun function. And there's a nested function inside this. So let's say nested function. Okay? It has two values, a and b, and I'm returning this nested function. So this is what it is happening in our code. I'm returning this nested function. Line number 33 marks that outer function is done. So, as per the thing, if outer function is done and it is popped out of a stack, then variables a and b should be popped out of a stack. These two variables. Yes, because those are local variables. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the same logic with the previous function, the same logic for this function, but this is not happening. Why? At line number 34 I am trying to print a and b, even incrementing it. It is totally possible those are incremented also. It means that a and b never was never deleted. They were never deleted. and yes, they never went off the memory. So our function, so this is the function, so this is the nested function. Nested function has one more property. So it has its local variables. Okay? It has its local varies. That is correct because C and D will always be accessible. There is no doubt in that because the inner function is having these two variables. Okay? There is something called as this keyword we will study in maybe the next lecture. Third, is a reference to outer environment. Now this is how it is able to access A and B because it has saved the outer environment, which is itself an object, nothing fancy. A and B are still stored over here as an object, internal object, and this is accessible. Now since this nested function still has a pointer to the environment, okay, that is how it is able to access A and B. So AB it does not find here, so it checks in the outer environment. The function is yes, the function is popped out of the stack, but inner function has is pointing to the outer environment, and this is how it is getting access to A and B. And since A and B will be in the lifetime of the memory till we have the call, so even the increment will also be visible to us. Every time we do an increment, this is visible to us. And that is what happening in line number 34 and 35. Not even accessing, we are incrementing also. And that is what we are seeing. Is this making sense? Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll say that did we study this like before? Yes, we already did this. If you guys remember, when in the starting we were talking about functions and scope, we mentioned three things: execution context. Whenever the function is in call stack, three things are defined: variable and environment, this keyword, and a reference to outer execution context. And this reference to outer execution context is the same thing I'm talking about here. So this is what is possible. This thing is itself called as the closures. Function plus the scope in which it is defined. So basically the environment is called the closure in JavaScript. I hope the closure part is clear now. All right. This brings us to a very interesting observation. Let's see one more thing. That is also okay. But one thing, guys, why is 4 5 incremented but not 6 7? Why this is happening? Like if I'm saying that AB is in memory, so after 4 5 it should be 6 7.
Because it has different closure, separate closure.
Yes, correct. So the closures are created every time we make the call to the function. So outer function is called again, so it forms a next or let's say different closure. So this is how it looks ultimately in the program is. So
Sir, I have a question.
yeah, go on.
Uh, can you go at the VS Code? Actually, so when the outer function being called,
Mm-hmm.
it makes a closure
Yes,
every time.
yes,
Okay, and it binds their lexical scope with the inner function.
yes. Inner
Okay,
function
so
already has a like every function has a pointer to outer environment
okay,
already.
so lexical scope of outer function with the inner function is called closure.
Yes, yes. So the
Okay,
function, inner function and the scope it is pointing to forms the closure.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Now two outer functions calls are there. To two outer function, one the first call outer function, two the second call AB. AB is an internal environment object which exists over here, and this is how it works. So basically, it is having let's say uh, 3838 for both of them. So 38 and 38 for both of them, and this is how it works. The finally, what happens is nested function call one, nested function call one, nested function call two, and nested function call one, nested function call two. So this is what it is happening. So the first call makes it 4 and 9. Second call makes this as 5 and 10, And the same thing repeats 4, 9, and 5, 10. And this is what we are getting over here 4, 9, 5, 10, and 4, 9, 5, 10. Every outer function call is like every time a new environment object internal pointer is created for this function. Now, what else do we have? So, do we have any other applications? Yes, we do have. Let's see this also. So, there's a very interesting observation. See this. How many of you know about this where and loop case? Are you guys aware about that?
Yeah, I know a little bit about this.
All right. Okay. Probably we'll be needing some explanation. Okay. Let me write the code first. Okay. Very straight, very forward. So, we will be printing the values from 1 to 5, isn't it? That's the thing, right?
Yes, yes.
Let me comment this so that we do not require now this part. So we'll be doing a refresh over here, and let's see. So we are seeing that 0 to 4 is printed, and this is what we have. Now timing functions is already done, and we know what can be done with that timing functions. So I can simply say a set timeout I want to add. Okay. Like we are clear with the timing functions, right? I hope we do not have any doubts. And I want to supply this once I'm done. So the next thing would be the time I want to delay this. Okay, the printing. What do you guys think should be the output?
I think it will print 666 4 times, 5 times.
Six, five times.
Yeah,
Okay. Any other answers? Or all of you agree with this?
it would be same, I guess.
Zero to four. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's see this. So it is printing five times. Yeah, like the answer of six was correct. Would if it would be equal to, but yeah, that is, I got the point. Okay, so it is printing five times. But like if we see there's like it should be 0 to 4. Okay, what happens with the delay? Why it is printing correct without delay, but it is not working now? What is happening exactly?
Because where doesn't support block scope.
Where didn't support block scope? Okay, so what happens with that one? Like if it does not have a block scope, so it will not create the.
It will not initialize I again for every. Actually, I think where basically I is a global scope,
Mhm.
and after a certain time, the value of I will be 6 or 5.
Okay,
So it will prints their values after percent, means it does not binds to the every instances of I or many iterations. So that's why it prints 5 or 6.
all right. Okay, so this is what is happening with the for loop. Basically, whenever the loop start running, so what happened over here is where for case. Okay, so what the case over here. So this is I, okay? So this is I, and this has to be inside a scope. Either it is block scope or something. Okay? There's a scope. It's not an object. It's just a number. Okay. So it is a scope. It is inside a scope. It is a property of a scope. Currently, it is not inside any function, so it belongs to the window. Okay? So it belongs to the window. Does it belongs to the window? Let's see. Yes, it belongs to the window. See, so it is belonging to the window as a global scope. So I is 0 initially when the loop start. This is set amount. This is set amount. Okay? So this is fired. It's saying that I should be printed after every 1 second. First set timeout fired. Second time set timeout. Okay, so it's again saying that I should be there and this should be like fired after some time. But point here is the copy of I is single because it's in global scope. It has nothing to do with how many times we are invoking this one. It has nothing to do with this one. Okay, so every time the loop runs, it keeps on updating it, it keeps on updating it, but these functions wait for the delay. Okay, but before the delay, this is already done. But before the delay ends, this is already completed, the loop is done before the second, whatever the seconds we have provided. So this is completed. Since this is completed already, once 1 second is over, after calling the set amount, they refer to the same copy again and again, and they print five times. Is this point clear?
Yes.
You will say, sir, then how it is working without set timeout? So set this without set timeout, console logs immediately printed. It is not waiting for the second or something. So it immediately says 0 1 2 3 4. That's it. Okay.
Means before increment, it will print console.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
every time. Okay.
Okay. Okay, we'll talk about why about this behavior more.
It gets pushed to event loop like that now before. Yeah.
Yes, yes, very correct. So you are reaching the correct point. That's the event loop case. But we'll see that. Yeah, the event loop is the thing which is blocking this. Okay, but even if I say event loop and all those things are correct, how can I solve this issue?
With let.
Yes, I can use let over here and the issue will be solved. Let's see this also. See, the issue is solved. Okay, what happened now? What do you guys think? What happened now?
I think at every iteration it binds with instances.
Correct, correct. Now I is not the window variable. It's not the window variable. See, I is not defined. Since I is not defined, it is defined for the single iteration of the loop. Every time the loop runs, I is created. Every time the loop runs, I is created. Every time the loop runs, I is created, and so on. So this set timeout is pointing to this one. This set amount is pointing to this one. This set amount is pointing to this one. And since they are pointing, so it doesn't matter. It run after 1 second or 10 seconds. How does it matter? So this is how it works. All right, but okay, but how is this happening exactly? What's the internal thing happening? We understand that where was discouraged because of these behavior. Okay, so we do not use where anymore. But what is happening? How is it handling the things? And okay, let's see this. But guys, are we done? Like, do you guys understand the thing now? Any doubts in this? All right, let's see.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's say ES6 to ES5. Okay, so let's convert this to a backward, like make it backward compatible. So ES6 to ES5. This is the React code. Okay, and let me replace this with let. Okay, so something else is required. Okay, this is for React, right? I need to. Okay, let me check. We'll see. So this should do the job. So let index, and this. Let me run it. Hmm. Okay. This is good, but I want the code exactly. Okay, let me find it. I will just share this with you. So we can convert this and see this how it is working. But why couldn't I find it? Let me test this one also. If it is good, we'll do this. Otherwise, we can check it out later. All right. This is where, and if I do with let, so is it? So these are called transpilers. We'll study about them. Okay. Anyways, let's leave this. I will discuss it later. Okay. What's next do we have in this closure? So functions plus preserving a scope, closures and let is solving the problem. Okay. Next thing, arrow functions. Did I use arrow functions somewhere? Yes. Here did I use the arrow functions? How many of you know about arrow functions? Properties of arrow functions.
Yeah, it is a one-line function.
Okay, it is a
I
one-line
I
function,
know little about this.
Yeah,
and okay,
We don't we does not need to bind anything with this. Actually, uh, it takes this value of upper function or upper object.
okay. So it takes the parent this
Yeah,
right.
yeah. It takes the parent.
Makes sense. Both answers are correct. So it's a single line function. It does not need to bind. It does not have its own binding. It get binded to where it is defined. If it defined in global, global, local, local, and the same thing. So or block, so block. Okay. The point is, if I say it's a single line function, let's write in a single line itself, and I can say that I want to print something. So I can say arrow functions, okay, and that's it. That's it. Yes, that's it. We do not need to do anything else. So this is an arrow function. No function keyword, just this arrow signature, and we are done. Can I call it? Yes, I can call it. Calling remains the same. So copy path and okay, so let's see our arrow function. So you can say that arrow function and I can simply call it. What are the other variations? Let's see this also. So can I supply arguments in over here? How does that work?
Yes.
Okay, so I can say A, simple to this, and I want to say, let's say I want to return something. Remember, it's a single line function, so you can do something like this also. Okay, and something like this would also work. Okay, so inner signature, like whatever is inside the curly braces, it's totally like normal functions. Okay, so you can write it like a normal function that totally works, and we see that this function is basically returning a square if I supply a number. Arrow functions, okay, and I can pass something and we get the thing over. What else do we have? We do not need to.
Parenthesis,
We do not need a
parenthesis,
parenthesis, and
and in the bracket of A.
we do not need the bracket of a also. Yes.
Yeah, return, remove, need to return.
So
Yeah,
bracket. So
yeah.
this bracket would always be not there, or it will be there.
I think it is be by default.
Okay. It means that I can write this also.
No, no, no. It is only for one
Yes.
parameter.
Yes. So if you have a single argument, you can skip the bracket, and if it is a single line, you can even skip the curly braces and the return also, and that will work totally fine. Again, 2 comma 3, and this is what we have. So it's working perfectly, okay, and this is what we have. So the signature wise, is the function clear? Like signature wise, how do we write it and all those things? Any doubts in this one? We good?
No, clear to me.
All right. Next thing. So since we do not have a binding for this one, so should we discuss about the binding? Like should I print something? Or yes, let's discuss about the binding also, because this is the thing we are going to see. Now, since we have this function, okay, host. Okay, what about hosting? Is this hosted or not? Is the hosting happens?
I think no, no.
No, the hosting does not happen, right? Because
Yes,
uh,
we have used let also. Right.
yes, it's a kind of arrow function expression, right? So that is why we cannot use it. All right, okay. We'll discuss about binding, but before that, we are going to start something very important, which is this in JavaScript. Yeah, doesn't JS. HTML. How does this work? We are talking about the functions, and every time we mention the execution context, we talk about three things: the local variables, okay, the local variables, this keyword, and its a reference to outer execution environment. So the reference to outer execution environment we just saw, local variables we already know. This is the time we study about this keyword. Let's see how this works. We say that this is a function, okay, so this is a function, and function is basically, let's say, fun one over here, okay, and this is a normal function. Now the normal variables, so I can say a is equals to, let's say, 90 or something, okay, let b is equals to 98 or something, okay, and I can have the console or some console in over here, and maybe I can print this, okay. I want to print this, but you say, sir, where is this coming from? And what is this in other languages? You already know about this, right? What are this? What is this exactly in other languages?
This refer to the object. It's
Makes sense. This refers to the object. Do we have any object over here?
yes, global object.
We have the global object, right? Hmm. All right.
Because everything
We
in JavaScript is object.
yes,
What I have read yet.
yes. Everything is an object in over here. So let's print this over here. What do you guys should be think should be printed?
Window object, I think.
Yes, a window is what we have. We will be printing. So this and window is the same thing. Yes, these both are the same thing. This exists in every scope. Okay, so this is there in the every scope we have, and there's a global scope. This keyword points to window, and this is what we have. It means that I can access properties and method with this also. Yes, you can do the same thing. So you were calling window.alert, so you can do this dot alert, and you can pass the message that this is this, and yes, this is possible. So you see this, right? Now my point is, this is pointing to the object, and this can be used to access the property and the methods, both of the things. Okay, so I'm using this function one. I have printed this. The first one. Second, console.log this. Global scope, then function. Global scope function. Let me write it at the top. Yeah. In the function scope, I'm printing this. In the global scope, I'm printing the function. I'm printing this. Global scope, I'm printing this. Let me print this in the function expression. Function two is a function, and this is a function expression. Okay. Let me print console.log this also. Very, very important, because we are going to start with constructors also. So please have a close look what we are going to see. All right. Finally, the arrow function. The arrow function, and I have. All right. So I'm printing this for the fourth time, and in order to do that, I need to call the functions also. Otherwise, they won't be called. So this is the arrow function. This is the function two. This is the function one. Okay. Tell me, what should be the output in all four cases?
I guess window, global window object.
In the all four cases, Windows should be printed, right? All four of them.
Yes, yes.
All right, let's do this. So, arrow function, normal function, function expression, and the global scope. Okay, did we open any other file? Yes, we need to open this file. So, copy path. Oh, okay, all right. Why is this exactly printed and the spelling is wrong? So, it should be this one. Let me remove this. We not need this for now. It says that window for all four of them. The global, anyways, it's expected to print. The normal function, it is also printing window. The function expression, this is also printing window, and arrow function is also printing window. Here is something unexpected happening. If you guys remember, I just said that every function execution context has its own this also. But why this is belonging to global, like what is happening exactly? Is it not working or what's the case? Why window? There shouldn't be window, right? Functions have their own this. Again, this is window.
I think the value of this will depends on the where the function is being called.
Okay, so
So the function is called in the global window object. So that's why it takes window.
all right, makes sense. So this is defined like how the function is being called. So the function is being called with like directly with the window. So this would depend to the window. But here's the thing, guys. What do you guys think would happen if I put use strict? Let's see the behavior now. Use strict. Let's see this. Okay, the four windows we have. Now let's see. So we see that only two of them remains, the global and the arrow function. It proves that arrow function does not have this keyword because it is always sharing this from the outer environment. This is just a proof that arrow function do not have their own this. Okay, so this is borrowed from the parent. That is true. But the functions and the function expression have changed the behavior. They are showing undefined because this is defined for functions and that is not the window object. It is the object which by which we call this function, and this function is directly called without any object. This is directly called, right? Now this won't point to window anyways because it is not, we are not using any object, and that is why this is not defined here in use strict mode. In the slopy mode, which is not strict, it is everything is this. Okay, so that it, instead of giving error, it is showing this, but in strict mode, it will become undefined. Is this part clear, guys?
No, can you please clear again? Actually,
Function have their own this, right?
yes,
And so this should be something else. Okay, even if we do not understand why undefined, we shouldn't be, okay, so we should be understanding that this is not window anyways. Why undefined we'll talk about later, but this should not be window, right? Is that part clear?
yes, okay.
Okay, so this should not be window because function have their own this. Now this points to current object. Okay, this points to current object. In Java, how do you call a function or a property with help of the,
This keyword.
okay, so we help with the help of the object, right?
Yeah,
Obj1
yeah,
is equals to new object, and use that
yes,
object to call the function. But that is not something we did over here, right? We directly call the function.
yes.
This is coming as undefined.
Okay,
Okay, make sense?
okay,
No
yes,
objects, so this is undefined, and that should be undefined. That should be the case. That should be the expectation. Now, can we change this? Yes, we can change this also. But before we go on changing this, let's see one more very interesting thing with JavaScript. This is the object. A is 56 over here, let's say, and B is, let's say, 45. C or a function. So there's a function. Let's say the function name is function 3, and this function says something like this, that console.log this, console.log and this. How can I call this function? What should I write?
object or function.
Object.function. So what will be the value of this?
Uh, Object A or B means object.
Yes, let's see this also. So we have this object printed. So this is belonging to the function, is belonging to the object which is calling it. And what is the object here? obj, right? So this always belongs to the object which is used to call this function. Okay? So this belongs to the current object. And the same thing is happening. This is belonging to the current object. So obj is the current object. And see, it is working totally fine now. Is this part clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what to do about these two functions? These two functions, they do not, they are not having their own, like they have theirs, but that is undefined and not pointing to any object. Can somehow I point to this object? Is there any way? Call this method.
Okay. Can you ask again? I didn't understand.
Okay. Let's repeat that question. But before that, let me check. So, okay, we'll talk about arrow functions more, but yeah, let's complete these two. So is there any way I can call these two function with help of obj?
Yes, by bind, call, and apply.
Yes, we use the bind call and apply them to do this job. Now we'll be doing the same thing, but I hope you guys got what is happening. What is the behavior in slopy mode and what is the behavior in a strict mode? Is that part clear till now?
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Let's talk about arrow function more. Arrow functions are a bit special. They are not like normal functions. Okay. So that is why we should be very careful how and why we are using that function. And MDN is good for like looking for the documentation. And I always encourage that guys should be going through this one. It says that an arrow function expression is a compact alternative of traditional function expressions, but is limited and cannot be used in all situations. What are the situations? It says that arrow function do not have their own binding to this argument or super. So this is not there. Okay, argument is not there, and super is also not there. So this is what we are having, and shouldn't be used as methods. So shouldn't be used as methods. So that is one more thing we should be keeping in mind. Arrow function does not have access to the new target keyword. Okay, and call apply bind aren't suitable. Okay, constructor cannot be used as constructor, and yield. Okay, so if you want to go for yield you can check it out, otherwise it's totally fine, you don't need to check it out. But yeah, this argument and super are not there, and call apply bind will not work. This is the only thing we need to know. All right, what do we have next? So binding is with the scope which is defined, so it takes the upper one. Okay, this keyword I have already added this. If you guys are a bit confused, you want to see this again, so you can just go through this link anyways, but I hope that should be clear. If not, you can just ask it again. But yes, and this in strict mode, just we discussed it now also. This brings us to very very interesting observation. How can I create my own objects? Objects. Okay, so how can I create objects? Now you'll say, sir, just do let obj is equals to curly braces, create your object. But the question is, what if I want to create a student objects? Okay, lots of student objects. So should I go with this method? Should I create like 100 times, right? Let obj, let obj, let obj, and something like that? Or do we have any other better way to do this? For example, in case of Java, and JavaScript is considered as an object-oriented programming language
By the help of function.
by the help of functions. Okay,
So
okay.
it means we need to create a constructor function,
Yes, we can
and
create a constructor
which
function.
return object every time,
We'll return object every time.
and we just need to pass the value
Okay, so we need to just
at
pass
the
the
time
value.
of calling. Yeah.
All right. Yes, so that is one way to do this. Let's see
Or
what.
else we can define the class. I mean, for example, a class for an object, and we can use a new keyword and assign and create a new object for that class and assign that to any.
Yes, that's the other way to do this. Yes, very correct, very correct. So that is the other way to do. All right. Thanks for the solution, guys. Both of them are correct, and both of them will be working over here. Coming to the point, function. The functional way to do this. Okay, and since we are saying that JavaScript is an object-oriented programming language, we should be able to have properties. Okay, so for example, let's say that there's an object, maybe a very like any normal object. For example, I'm talking about, let's say, fridge. So fridge is an object, and I want to write program for that object. So it should be having its own properties. Let's say the maximum temperature, minimum temperature, the model number, the price, and all those things. Method should also be there, starting the fridge, stopping the fridge, changing the temperature, and all those things. So you see, like this is a perfect mapping of what we call as object-oriented programming and the real-world objects. Okay? So we have properties and methods. This is what we want to achieve in any object-oriented programming language. Now this is the time we see for JavaScript. Let's create a student object. Okay, and we know that this student is going to have properties and functions also. Okay, so the functions would also be there. But how does it look? This is the student. Okay, so as the first, I'm going to the first solution. So let's say that I need a name, a roll number. Okay, so these are two data I want. Yeah, so there's two data I want to have. Every time the function is called, a student object should be written. Okay, so a student object should be written. So very easy, very straightforward. I can simply say name. Okay, and name, roll number, and roll number. I can simply return this as student obj, and that is done. What was the idea in Java to create objects? What did we do there? We created,
By new table
okay, so we had classes over there, right?
classes here.
Yes, here we do not have the classes and constructor and all those things. Here we are directly creating objects. Okay, so that is the one of the major difference in this language and the other languages. Similarly, I can simply call the function every time I want, and every time I would be supplied with a new object. So this time it's a student object, and yes, every time I'm supplied with a different object, and this is how it works. So student one, student two, student three, and we have this. All right. So okay, let's see if it is working, and then we'll see like what are the other ways to do this. Okay. So let's call this file again. I'll say copy path and okay, student one. See, we have the object. Student two, we have the object. Student three, we have the object. Very easy, very straightforward. The function. All right. Can I have methods also over here? I can have it, right? Suppose that I want to have a function. I want to have a function. The function says get roll number. Okay, so get roll number, and I want to print the roll number. So what should I write here? Any suggestions? Console.log. I want to print the current roll number. What should I write?
Directly roll number.
Roll number. Okay, let's write the roll number. Let's try it out. So student one dot get roll number. Okay, so this is how we are getting the roll number. Now student two dot get roll number. So student two dot get roll number. See, so we are getting this also. But is this always be working, or should we do any modifications over here? How many of you say it would be better if I do this?
Yeah, it should be this dot roll number.
See, context is matching. These both are matching, then it is working. But should I be directly accessing the parameter, or it should be through this way? It should go through this way, right?
Through this, because if we can have a parameter there as well with the same name, like inside that definition. which will
Yes.
override them.
Yes. Yes.
So I didn't get this. Why? Yeah.
Okay. Let's do something. So maybe if I am able to replicate this, let me show you. Okay. Let's do this again. I want to print the roll number, right? Let's see. See, got it? Why this should be there? Roll number is the roll number, right? But it is coming undefined. Are you getting the issue over
Oh,
here?
okay. Now get it.
Okay. So this is what happened. Now this should be used because we are calling this by the object, and this roll number is
Because role has defined to roll number, and so we can get this by this dot roll number. Okay.
yes. All right. All right, guys. So I hope you guys are getting the things. Okay, and things are becoming very, very interesting. Now we have this also over here, and till now, no mention of classes, and things are working totally fine. See how beautiful JavaScript is, right? Okay, but this is not beautiful. What happened? Okay, so I didn't restart it. Okay, so see, it is working. The point is, yes, we have the method also and the property also, and the things are working. Do we have any other way to do this? Is this the only way?
Yeah, by class method,
By
class
classes?
way.
What if I say there is a function way to do this again, but not by this? If I say, if I remove this and this also, I have one more way to do this. See this, guys. Okay, just have a close look. What did I write? And tell me if anything is not clear. So I used this keyword to have a name property, roll number, and the get roll number function, and the values I have stored whatever I'm getting from the parameter. Is this syntax clear at least?
Yes. But here we do not need to return.
No need to return. Yes, that
Actually,
is
it
also
binds
good.
a student class. Yeah, student function.
Yes, so name
Okay.
roll number becomes the property of the current
Okay.
object, right? But I'm missing one thing over here, and let's see that what I'm missing.
I
Let
think
me
new
close.
keyword.
Yes, I'm missing new keyword. But if I miss new keyword, what will happen? Okay, but let's not miss this one and miss for the last one. Okay, so I'm missing for the last one. Okay, and I'm not missing for the above two one. Okay, so this is ABC and ABCD. Okay, first two are having this new keyword and these two are not having it. Let's see. So, student 1, is this working? Yes, this is done. Student 2, is this working? Yes, this is there. Student 3, it is not there. The point is, student 3 is not having a new keyword. And why is that? Why was this working without new keyword, the previous function, and why this function is not working?
I think student is behaving like a constructor, so we need to call the constructor. We need to new keyword.
Okay, and what is this new keyword doing exactly?
It is creating object. It is creating object.
Very correct, very correct. That's the right answer. So we were already creating an object at line number 15. Okay, that is, was no issue. But now we are not creating an object. So in order to create an object, I have to mention this new keyword. Make sense? Are we getting this, guys?
Yes.
ठीक है. So we are manually creating the object over here, but now we are saying new. When I say new, a new object is created. Now since new object is created, name, roll number, this points to that new object, and these three properties are assigned to that object. But in the case of the last one, student 3, it is undefined because it does not have a new keyword. Just take a step back. If I don't use new keyword, what is really the value of this in a non-strict mode?
Object.
It should point to
Object. Global object.
global object, and that is.
Window.
So does window have the name now? See,
I think yes.
window has the name. This is the same thing we passed over here, right? And roll number is 36. Let's see if roll number is also there. Happened. Huh. But you can avoid this behavior. How can I avoid this behavior? I can say,
By using strict.
now if I try to do this, it says cannot read properties of undefined setting name. And that is correct. So you need to put new keyword over here, and this is how it works. See, now finally I can say student 3, and this is how it hits. And everything is working totally fine now. Any doubts still here, guys? Do we have any doubts? How do we create objects? The both ways. Any doubts?
No.
Any syntax, any line you want me to repeat again, or something like that? So this is the way. This kind of functions are called as constructor function. Did we previously see this kind of syntax, or this is the first time?
I have seen.
Okay, for which thing? Okay, so you have previously made constructor,
Yes.
but in the sessions we have seen this in sessions also. Where did we see
Yes.
this?
Uh, Actually, in our course.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, in our session. Guys,
Yeah.
remember this line? We did in the third session itself. There's
I
one more
think.
way to create an object. We did this, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, we already have used constructor, but we are reading this now. And the same with array. All right, but these two already exist in the language, so that is totally well and fine. Okay, so we had this constructor.
Sir, I want to ask one thing. Actually,
Yes.
maybe it is not clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
So first two are we are calling the new keyword. The last one is we are calling just without new keyword.
Mm-hmm.
So you have shown us the value of student three is undefined.
Yes.
So the previous and then just before that, you have also shown that some value. So I didn't get those things.
Okay, let's replicate this. So I have removed the new keyword. Let's see this again. And let me comment this use strict also. Now, what I did, student 1 and student 2 have this new. So student 1 have this new, but student 3 does not have new. Okay. If the function is in non-strict mode and the new object is not created, this points to window, right? This was printed.
Yes, yes.
It means that name and roll number has got assigned to window because this was pointing to window. That's the case.
Okay.
And get roll
Yes.
number also. It means that window is having get roll number function. Yes, it is having the get roll number function. See. So this is what is happening without new keyword. So they are assigned to the window directly. Whereas if I enable this use strict over here, and if I say that Let's
Okay,
try.
now get it. So thank you. You can complete your. Okay.
Okay. So this would throw undefined. And undefined values cannot be set. So this is what I have. Anyways, so this was the thing we were having. Any doubts till here? We'll be starting with some other topics, but yeah, let it be the next week. The prototype part. How many? Okay, so guys, till which lectures you guys have already completed, so that I can get insight. What are the topics you guys are
I
currently?
have completed in course.
Yes,
I think front end.
whole front end is done. Okay, okay,
Yeah, till promises. And
all right. And the projects also, like the mini projects are going on.
uh, actually, I have completed one skill that is related to, I think, to do app.
Okay,
I have given one skill test. That is
makes
to do
sense.
app. Project, I don't know.
All right, that is good. And what about other guys? Like, what's their status? Like, are we moving forward
I
or?
will give the skill test this week.
Okay, so skill test this week. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So,
Uh, can you share the old recordings, sir? Like, can you update the sheet?
hold the recording for the sheet. All
Yeah.
right, that will
Hmm.
be also updated. Maybe
Yeah.
like, yeah. Okay.
Like, I was unable to complete from last 1 week. I didn't attend last two sessions.
All right, we'll add that
Yeah.
also. Okay. Please mark your attendance. I have pasted the seat and the link. Okay. So in the chat, it's in the chat. The link is in the chat. Okay. Any doubts related to front end topics or something like please feel free to ask. Okay. Anything you are stuck with a skill
So,
test.
when will you teach us promises? In-
So that is as per the doc. After we are done with this prototype and class, the next thing is async
okay,
JS. Okay.
okay, in the next week maybe.
Yes, next week.
Okay,
The first class would
okay,
be for prototypal inheritance. That is very, very important. And okay, so these are theory, but I cannot avoid it because interviewer love these questions, even though it
okay.
is
So,
not directly used.
these topics are too important then.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. They love this because these are confusing, right? So you need to be very, very like diligent in this, reading this. Okay, so we should understand. All right. So this is what we had. Please mark attendance if you haven't marked it yet. And let me share this document with you if you haven't have it already. Go through it, read it twice, thrice, all the topics. If you have any doubts, feel free to share. We'll take that up in the next session. And complete your skill test. Reach out if you have any doubts. Okay. All right, guys. Bye.